Hey everyone, how's it going? Joe here from Zilla Cabs. What are we doing this week, Paul?
We made a video. One of the first videos we did was a three Marshall amp shootout.
Yeah.
We picked three from the workshop: the Silver Jubilee, the Super Lead, the JCM800 edition 100 watt, and the vintage modern. Part of that video was I wanted to show you this beast, which is one of my first amp. And I wanted you to show me this one because I was too dumb to know how to use it. And we use this as a reference.
Yeah, that's right. And that was in our old place, wasn't it? So
yeah,
we were a little bit limited as to how much we could push the amps back there.
There were offices next door, and the roof used to shake.
And these amps are for being pushed, aren't they? Really?
And they are made for shaking roofs.
So in our new room here, we thought we'd revisit this video and put these amps through their paces and show what they're really all about.
Yeah, I really wanted to come back to this because with the vintage modern, I'd never be able to dial in the sounds. I just didn't know what it was about. And I knew Joe was getting some class sounds. And in the last video, I absolutely loved that amp. Since then, I've been playing it, and I've fallen in love with it. So we thought it'd be a good idea to do it again, hopefully a bit more concise, and to crank the amps this time. In the recording of this video, Joe did all the playing, and I was next door. The new place is massively bigger. It's about 4 or 5 times bigger than the old place. And not only did Joe manage to shake the entire roof with this amp here, we had a low-flying helicopter go over, I reckon, a couple of 100 feet, and Joe didn't hear it.
No, I didn't know about that.
No. I felt this weird vibration going on, thinking, what's going on with that amp? Then Joe stopped playing, and I saw a helicopter flying in the distance, really low. So goes to show how loud that amp actually is.
I had to have my earplugs on in here for this one, definitely. So yeah, we did this video. We're going to do this video in a similar way that we did the Mesa one recently, and if you haven't seen that, I'll post a link to that so you can check that one out. So I did a little bit of clean playing with a Strat, and then sort of a crunch sound with the Les Paul, and then a bit of all out with it. So yeah.
Before we get into it, if you're enjoying these videos and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe, hit the button down the bottom and the notification bell. And make sure you leave us a comment, give us any recommendations, tell us what you like, what you don't like. This video itself is coming from the comments of the previous video where people said play them louder. So here
we are. All right, so we're going to listen to each amp played clean. I'm playing the Strat each time here. We'll let you have a listen to them, and then we'll come back and tell you what we think about it. All right, so first up with the clean was the vintage modern there. Yeah, this is an amp I know pretty well, and I think it really does well at clean stuff. I guess most people, I don't know if this is fair to say that Marshall isn't your first thought for a clean sort of sounding amp, but
no, not always with the Strat either.
yeah, but this one is a 50 watt amp, the other two are 100 watts, and I think there must be a little bit more compression in the settings I had it on there for the clean stuff, so we'll get on to the other two, but this one just allowed the notes to sort of last a bit longer, a bit more bloom to it.
Yeah, I loved this. I just really loved it. I felt this one was allowed the Strat to sound a bit more like a Strat than the other two.
Right.
This sounds stupid, but I think it brought out a lot of the qualities that I like in a Strat, especially for clean stuff.
Cool. So the Silver Jubilee was next. What did you think, Paul? I'm forgetting what I thought about it.
I liked it again. The only thing I'm thinking when I'm hearing it is the knobs are so reactive. So I'm thinking if I tweak that, how long am I going to spend tweaking it?
Right.
I loved it. I thought it's closer to this than that.
Yeah.
I felt that kind of stepping stone between the two. There's loads of class players use these for clean, so I can't see why that wouldn't. I'd be interested to hear how it sounded with the Les Paul clean.
Yeah.
But
that being said, with people using it clean, there's not a lot of clean headroom in that amp. I find you've got to have it set pretty low to get a clean. It wants to break up pretty soon, but.
And the opposite would be this one, where although it does break up pretty soon when you're looking at the volume knob, when it comes to the pressure hitting your ears, it'll make you want to puke because it is so stupidly loud.
So I plugged it in with the volumes off, and straight away you've got a sound that's way too loud to play at home. And then I think I crept so I was plugged into the high input on channel 1. And jumped the 2 cables that you can see, and I balanced both channels then up to about 3, I think, for the clean sound, and it was just a massive, monstrous, full-body clean sound in the room.
I think full body's the word for me. These things they seem to hit you with some power, just some. I don't know what it is, just a power that kind of just hits your body. You can feel it.
Yeah. But with that in mind, for playing a Strat at clean levels, because it's got so much headroom, it's really demanding of the way you play. It can get, like with a Strat clean, you can get really spiky, and if your picking dynamics aren't sort of on your radar, then it can show up all these little faults.
Not
quite
very
well.
forgiving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But definitely satisfying to play through when the windows are shaking.
All right, so out of the 3, what's your favourite?
It's between the vintage modern and the SLP for me for the clean, I think.
Yeah, I think mine's vintage modern.
Yeah.
I think I'd have possibly rolled the bass off and the presence up a little bit, but maybe the
yeah. Cool. All right, so let's hear these in a more sort of traditional Marshall sort of sound, I guess, like a bit of crunch.
Bit of dirt.
Yeah. So a bit more of a traditional Marshall sound there with the Les Paul. What do you reckon, Paul? Starting with the vintage modern again?
I just love it.
Yeah.
That's it. Next.
It's such a great sounding amp, isn't it?
I liked it because I could hear that. I was saying to Joe, I think the vintage modern is just the absolute perfect name for this amp because I could hear a nice bit of just that vintagey Marshall vibe, but when I was listening to it, I knew you could go more vintage or you could go more modern.
Yeah.
Just with an easy dialing in.
So this amp has got two sort of, they call it dynamic range. There's a button here, and it's got a low and a high, which is kind of like low and high on a JMP or something, I guess.
Yeah.
And for this sound, I had it on still on the low, but with the gains pretty high. Yeah, and I think it does. I think that does that sort of vintage Marshall sort of cranked up thing pretty well.
Yeah, it was great. Next,
Silver Jubilee. I thought this sounded really cool for that sort of almost getting towards like a Guns N' Roses sort of pick attack thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it other than it's just like a little on the front of the.
It's like a bit of aggression in it.
Yeah.
Bit of, just extra bite.
Yeah, right, bite.
It's I love it. I just think it's a super fun amp for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Originally, first one I bought, I think I foolishly thought I was going to sound like Slash when I bought it.
Yeah.
So I didn't like it because I don't sound like Slash. But then when we got this one in, that I stole from a friend, thanks James. It was just so much fun. I love it.
Oh, it's a great amp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, I had it set on 100 watts, and it was really loud in the room. I mean,
no, you said it's set on 50 watts.
Oh, it's a 50, is it? Oh, my mistake.
Surprise!
I referred to it earlier on as 100 watts as well, so that shows why I know. But well, it really punches above its weight there. It was keeping up with the SLP. This one is 50 watts as well, but it's got KT66 power tubes, I think, or KT88s. Which ones is it?
I think it's the 66s.
Yeah.
I always associate them with more vintage amps. I don't know if that's correct or not.
Did originally JCM800 have them in?
Yeah, that's kind of why.
And they're pretty well known to be a lot lower in output than EL34, so a 50 watt vintage modern is a lot quieter than a 50 watt Silver Jubilee. So yeah, I had the master on this one set to just before where the power amp starts getting a bit flubby and washed out for me. So
yeah. Cool. So Super Lead.
So to get a crunch sound out of a Super Lead, you're risking your health really.
Eviction.
I had it set on about 4.5 here for the volumes, and it was getting towards that like class sort of AC/DC sort of territory.
Yeah, it was sounding good.
Yeah.
What did you do with the volumes, the 1 and 2? Were you keeping them the same, or were you pushing one higher?
I was experimenting a little bit with that, but they seem to on this amp just sit in the sort of the same place pretty well.
Yeah.
Because obviously one is a lot brighter and the other one's got a lot of bottom end and not much top end at all. So just balancing those to a point that sounded good, it just seemed to be in the same spot. You do the same thing with this amp with the gain. You've got the they call it detail and body, which is like similar to that idea really. And for this I like to run the detail a little bit higher than the body.
I was finding as a rule of thumb when I was messing about, if you keep them similar, I was finding instantly you'd be like, so it wouldn't muddy or wouldn't sound too aggressive. Apart from that time you dialed in that Guns N' Roses sound,
right,
where kind of set apart, but then that sounded really cool.
Cool.
Okay, so in the next clips you're going to hear Joe playing Les Paul into these a bit more full on, a slightly heavier tones.
Just as a little side note, I got the amps all pretty set up, about as full on as they'll go. But with the SLP, I just clicked on Ibanez Tubescreamer here and there in the clip, and it'll be pretty obvious. You'll see my foot go in, and you'll hear it where it comes in, just to keep up with the others a little bit, because it's an older sort of circuit design. So yeah, here we go. Enjoy.
heard the 3 amps pushed even harder. What did you think?
So starting with the vintage modern again, I think this is something that this amp does really well. You can get pretty aggressive sounds out of it, and it's getting towards like hot rodded 80s JCM800 sort of sounds to me. I forget the name of the guy who designed this amp, but I think he was one of the sort of LA Marshall hot rodders, in the 80s.
I loved it. I just really loved it. It reminded me a little bit of a Booster JMP, which is probably my favourite amp. I absolutely loved it. While I was talking to a friend of ours who has worked on amps for everyone, including Slash, he says that he's got one of those in his rig, which doesn't surprise me at all.
Cool.
So
yeah. This is really an amp though that's got to be turned up, isn't it? Because I don't know whether that was maybe a little bit in the last video, but hopefully that it will translate that in this video it's sort of more in its comfort zone, sounding good.
Yeah, I think that's the trouble with a lot of these amps though. They do need to be, cranked a bit.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame. We've used a slightly less efficient speaker, which will mean you can push the amps a little bit harder.
Yeah. So we've got creambacks in this Zilla 412, haven't we?
The M Creamback.
M Creamback, sorry, yeah. And slightly less efficient, but man, sat next to it, I'm not thinking about that at all. I was just thinking.
It's just that extra, the sensitivity being a bit lower just allows you to lift the amps a little bit, so get them cooking, but kind of kill you a little bit more softly.
Cool.
All right, Silver Jubilee.
Again, just a great sort of all-out Marshall rock tone.
Aggressive. Plenty of body there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And Super Lead.
So I got this up to about 7.5 on the volumes, where it's not really getting any louder at this point, but it's
getting more saturated.
Yeah, and it's got a little bit more of an old school character to the way the dynamics work with it. I think it's sort of it blooms a bit more, whereas the other ones are a bit more quick to respond to the pick attack. So that's why I thought about it. Anyway.
It's just, I know I keep saying this, but to me it just seems to have so much body, and I don't know if this translates on the video, but when you're in a room with it, you can't really think about anything other than the amp. Because it's like, I don't know, filling you.
You hear it through your legs and everything. Not just your ears.
And it just seems, even if you have it the same like effective loudness as other amps, it just feels like you're.
It's like it's throwing the sound.
I love it. Bit more vintagey, I think, like you said, but it's more based on a more vintage circuit. And what else is there about it?
For me, it's just really fun to crank up a 1959. I've never actually done that. I used to gig with 4-input JMP 100 watt, so a very similar thing. But it's just.
It's pretty unusable though. That's the downside.
Yeah, you can't really
being practical.
Get down to a pub and gig with that kind of sound. We're going to take a look into something with this amp and see how it responds to using our power attenuator, because there's such great sounds available in there. We want to see if there's ways of making those usable.
I think that's what a lot of guys did. That's my first amp was one of these when I was 16 with a Marshall 4x12. Before I could drive, and or legally anyway, and I used to gig with it on pubs. I have absolutely no idea how I managed to do it. I use a Shredmaster.
Did you use a power attenuator?
No. I spent all my money on the.
Was there anyone in the crowd?
Super fun amps. I think that's going to be a good video. So what we'll do is it's probably going to come out after we've done this video, but we've got the cab set up, so I think we'll do it now.
Yeah, cool.
But we're going to see if you can make it a little bit more functional.
So yeah, that's what we think about these amps. Please let us know what you think about these amps. I'd love to hear if you've got any experience of playing any of these, or if you own these yourself. Any tips or tricks for getting the best sounds out of them, yeah, let us know below. So as we said earlier on, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for notifications so you get a notification when we bring new videos out. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button as well. It just helps with our videos getting out and about on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, for me, on a personal note, I think the most important thing to take from this video is don't hit eBay up for a few weeks, because I don't own one of these amps yet and I don't want to be paying too much for one, so just hold off. Everyone can get one. Alright, so yeah, thanks again, and I hope you enjoyed the video.